Bond University on Australia's beautiful Gold Coast, and welcome to an exclusive broadcast for our friends in Canada. Hello, I wish I was there. Now, this is Study in Australia, live from Bond, and I'm your host, Candice Dixon. I'm actually a proud Bond alumna, having studied a Bachelor of Communication all the way back in 2008. Can you believe it? It is so great to be back on campus here today, presenting a Canadian's Guide to Australian Universities and, of course, Bond University. Today you're going to hear from lots of different people, both here on campus and via video link from Canada. Now, of course, the last 12 months have presented challenges for people all around the world. Our hearts are with you all in Canada right now. In Australia, we're fortunate to have kept COVID-19 cases very low throughout the pandemic, and things are relatively normal for us here. Of course, we're still adhering to physical distancing, contact tracing, and hygiene guidelines. But masks are obviously not mandatory, and students in Australia have returned to classes, learning alongside those starting their studies remotely from all around the world. While we'd love to be hosting you here on campus, we are inviting you into our world all the same, just in a virtual way. We're also giving you the chance to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher just by tuning into the stream and registering your details. What better way to start your university journey than with a brand new laptop? Head to bond.edu.au/study in Australia to enter. Remember, you're welcome to ask questions, give us feedback, or just say, hey, how you going? Through YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, the Bond website. Now, Bond University has a very strong connection to Canada. More than 2,000 Canadians have graduated from Bond. And in fact, the university's first ever student president was Canadian. Of those graduates, 84% have since returned to Canada to work, 13% have remained in Australia, and the rest are based in more than 10 other countries all around the world. Canadians looking to study in Australia and at Bond have an expert on the ground in Canada. Joining us live from Ontario is Bond's International Regional Manager himself, Stuart Floyd. Now, Stuart is based in Canada full-time and is ordinarily travelling the country, supporting future Bond students with the entire process. He isn't travelling as much these days, but he's still speaking with students every single day. G'day, Stuart. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks, Candice.
It's a bit more chilly over in Canada than it is on the Gold Coast, isn't it?
Just a little bit at the moment.
I actually think I'd rather swap with you. I'd love some hot chocolate and some marshmallows, I think. How long have you been based in Canada, Stuart?
So I've actually been based over here for the university now for about 10 years.
Okay, wow. You are an expert, definitely. So what programs are most popular in Canada?
Absolutely. We get lots of students inquiring every year about all different types of programs, but the majority usually come for our law programs. We have both a Bachelor of Laws and a Juris Doctor program, and we're seeing lots of students come and study our allied health programs as well, things like physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and nutrition and dietetic practice.
I said you're an expert, and that's also because you're a Bond graduate. Can you tell us a bit about your journey?
Absolutely. So I actually studied at Bond back in the early 2000s. I completed my Bachelor of International Relations and then also went to law school at Bond as well. I decided not to practice, but I've now been working for Bond for close to 16 years in admissions, both in Australia and here in Canada.
You've managed to fit so much in such a small amount of time. For the viewers tuning in today, what can they expect to see?
Well, as you said in the introduction, we would love to have everyone come down to campus with us. However, at the moment, that's not possible. So we're hoping today that we will give a good sense of everything that is Bond, our programs, our students, our academics, our facilities, and our alumni as well. And so hopefully by the end of today's presentation, you'll know everything you need to know about Bond University.
I already have questions. So how can people get in touch with you?
For sure. I really do encourage people to get in touch. You can go to our Bond website, bond.edu.au/study in Australia, and send an inquiry. I'll then get back in touch with you once the presentation's finished.
How great is this personalised service? I think it's awesome. Thank you so much, Stuart. We'll check in with you very shortly. Since you've tuned into the broadcast today, you may be wondering, what's life really like studying in Australia and on the Gold Coast? We're broadcasting from Bond's main campus here in the beautiful Varsity Lakes. Varsity Lakes is about a 5-minute drive from the beach. It's the geographical heart of the Gold Coast. I also grew up here, so we are truly in the middle of all the action. The Gold Coast has an average of 300 days of sunshine per year, my favourite fact, and on those days we can enjoy more than 50 kilometres of sandy beaches. They're just beautiful. But it isn't all about the beaches here. The city has so much to offer, from the spectacular rainforest hinterland to a vibrant cultural and art scene. So let's take a look at a day in the life of a Canadian student here at Bond. All about the me time. That really made me miss being a student at Bond so much. Joining me now in the studio is the Director of International, Lisa Cowan, to tell us all about Australian universities. Now, Lisa, you're actually from North America originally, so you've got a really unique perspective when it comes to comparing universities. Can you start by giving us a bit of an overview on the Australian university system?
Absolutely. Thanks, Candice. Most Australian universities operate a standard 2-semester model. So semester 1 would start in March and go to June, semester 2 from July to November. As we're on opposite sides of the world, Canada and Australia, we have opposite seasons. So we're in summer right now, where I think our Canadian friends are definitely well into winter. At Bond University, we offer a different model than the standard. We have 3 intakes per year: January, May, and September. And that allows students to be able to complete a bachelor's degree in just 6 semesters at Bond, or 2 years, compared to in Canada, where that would take 3 to 4 years.
Wow, that's why Stuart's been able to fit so much in. And what would you say the main similarity is and the main difference, if you had to pick one?
Oh, you know, there's so many. Obviously, living and studying in another country is a fantastic opportunity. The real difference, I think, in the systems is that ability to graduate earlier, to get out and start your career earlier and start making money and doing what you love.
And what sort of options are available?
So we have 43 universities in Australia, and a mix of public versus private, big city universities versus those that are based on the coast like Bond, or regional campuses. And it's important to remember that you can study across a wide range of areas, so undergraduate, postgraduate, and even research degrees. Our degrees are also regulated nationally in Australia, so it means that wherever you study, you're going to get a great quality education in Australia.
There's no denying we have a fantastic reputation. So can you tell us a bit about Bond's ranking internationally?
Well, first I'll mention Australia, because we pump up against the norm, I think. We have 5 Australian universities in the top 50 universities in the world, ranked by the Times Higher Education System. So we're up there with the best in Canada and around the world. For Bond specifically, we've been consistently ranked number 1 for student experience in Australia for over a decade, and that's something we're really proud of. We also have a range of internationally recognized degrees. So as Stu mentioned, physiotherapy, law, occupational, just to mention a few.
I feel really intelligent just sitting next to you. What do Canadian students need to know when they are going to study in Australia?
Well, one of the really important things, because a lot of Canadian students do want to do a professional degree, is that in Australia we have those programs at the bachelor's level. So it means you can come straight from high school, if you know what you want to do, enter a degree in law, for example, and be out in the workforce, save a few years on your study, whereas in Canada you would have to do a general degree first. But that's okay if you take that path. If you already have a bachelor's degree in Canada, we have professional degrees at the postgraduate level as well in Australia.
So what would you say the main benefit is for Canadians to study in Australia?
Well, we've touched on the quality, and I think that we're really well recognized around the world and by the Canadian professions. We've talked about the fast-track degrees you can get at Bond to get you out there and working and making money sooner. But one of the real benefits is that international experience. While you can't come to Australia quite yet, being able to live and experience another culture and start your degree, make friends, and you've seen the pictures of the Gold Coast. We live in an amazing place, so you can't deny the weather.
Burleigh Hill, I'm sold. So what's the process to gain admission?
Well, as an international student, you'll apply direct to your university of choice. We have a range of programs and entry requirements depending on the university you're applying for. A nice thing about applying to Australian universities is that we have what we call rolling admissions, which means you can apply pretty much any time of the year for your chosen program and intake and get an offer. But if you don't meet the requirements, most Australian universities will have pathway programs that will help you get there.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. It has been fantastic talking to you. That brings us to the end of our first section already of Study in Australia Live from Bond. We'll be back in a moment to take a deep dive into the Bond's Faculty of Law and Canadian Law program. If you have any questions at all, let us know in the comments or head to bond.edu.au/study in Australia to get in touch with our mate Stuart. Remember, you also have the chance today to enter the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher. You can find all of the details on our website.
Hey, this is Adam from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Since Bond uses the trimester system, it lets you finish the program and get your degree a lot quicker than you would back in Canada and gets you into the workforce much quicker. Bond's been a fantastic program.
Now, Bond's Faculty of Law has earned an international reputation as one of Australia's leading law schools. It's also Australia's largest law school for Canadian law graduates and has been training Canadian graduates for more than 20 years. Currently, there are more than 150 Canadian students studying law with Bond, and students can start in the university's January, May, and September intakes. Now, welcome to the studio, Professor Nick James. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm well, Candice. How are you?
Great, thank you. Now, can you tell me a bit about Bond Law's connection to Canada?
Well, the law programs at Bond are extremely popular with Canadian students. So each year, about 100 Canadians travel over and study law with us here at Bond. So at any given moment, we've actually got between 200 and 300 Canadians within the faculty studying law, and that they make an enormous contribution to faculty culture, because that's almost a third of the entire faculty is Canadian students.
And how long have you had Canadian students in that faculty?
Well, we've had Canadian students coming to study law at Bond for about the last 20 years, but it's in the last 12 years or so that it's really gained popularity. So Bond now has a reputation back in Canada as an extremely good law school, and in fact we like to promote ourselves as the largest Canadian law school, not actually in Canada.
Wow, that's an incredible fact. What about Canadian professors?
So we have several Canadian academics on staff. And we also have a program where we invite high-profile Canadian professors and scholars to come to Bond each year and spend a semester or two instructing the students. So that means that across the period of the degree, the students get the opportunity to meet and interact with a range of Canadian scholars and practitioners.
I find law so exciting. I don't have a brain for law, but I know I'd enjoy it, definitely. So is there a connection between the NCA and Bond?
Okay, so the NCA is the authority back in Canada that recognises foreign degrees, and we've got a really good reputation with the relationship with the NCA. So the Bond law degree, even though it's an Australian law degree and the focus is on Australian and international law, that degree is recognised back in Canada. So as long as the students do a few extra exams once they return to Canada, they're eligible to be admitted and to practice law back in Canada with Bond's degree.
Now, we are so far away from Canada, obviously, but there are lots of similarities, aren't there?
Well, there are. Both Canada and Australia are Commonwealth countries, so we share the same Queen. And when it comes to law, most of the foundational legal concepts, in contract law and criminal law and tort law, are the same concepts. So it means that when the students back here in Australia are studying Australian contract law or Australian tort law, there's not that many differences. And it means that when they go back to Canada, they're well prepared to practice Canadian law.
So how does Bond law compare with then other Australian universities, especially in regards to Canadians?
Well, I think there's a smattering of Canadians across Australia at a variety of law schools, but most Canadians choose to study law at Bond because, one, we have that fantastic reputation as an extremely good law school, because we have that focus upon the student experience, because we have the accelerated program, and because simply from the fact that we have so many Canadians here already at Bond, a lot of Canadians feel comfortable knowing that when they come to study law at Bond, there's going to be a whole bunch of their compatriots here. There's a Canadian culture. There's a Canadian Law Students Association. They know they're going to be able to hang out with people from their home country.
Why do you think it is regarded as one of Australia's top places to study law?
Well, I think in addition to the accelerated program, which we've already talked about, and the fact that there is such a focus upon small classes and a personalized learning experience, with the law school, our reputation is built on the fact that we are a professional law school, in the sense that our focus is very much upon producing law graduates who are practice ready and trained to be global legal professionals. That's not the case at every law school, so there are many law schools that prefer to take a much more theoretical or doctrinal approach to teaching law. But with us, in addition to teaching students what the law is and what it should be, of course, we focus upon developing their legal skills and their legal competencies and attitudes. So the focus, as I said, is very much on producing a cohort of legal professionals.
I know Bond has been at the cutting edge of legal research. Can you tell us a bit about the focus areas and how students can get involved?
So we've got scholars and professors in the faculty focusing upon a range of different areas. Our main areas are international law, which of course is of relevance to anybody who wants to travel to a different country to study law and practice law. We have specialists in dispute resolution, in corporate and commercial law. We have a very strong center of professional legal education, which conducts research into the actual teaching of law, and emergent areas include climate law and dispute resolution.
So incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Professor James. We really appreciate it. Now, we've heard about the Canadians who study at Bond. Now it's time to meet some of them. The Canadian Law Students Association is a big part of the Faculty of Law and a Canadian student experience. Now we're crossing to them live at the Faculty of Law to meet the committee and learn about what they do. Take it away, Kevin.
Hi everybody, my name is Kevin Lasletta and I am the current president of the Canadian Law Student Association, or CLSA for short. We're here at Bond University right now, just outside the Faculty of Law building. Why don't I take you guys inside so you can check out our office. Okay. So CLSA is all about being that bridge for Canadian students to come over and study at Bond University here in Australia and really making them feel like they're at home. Here's the CLSA office, and our members are here right now. Hey guys, how's it going? Good. So a big goal for CLSA is to make students feel automatically included once they're here and really feel like they're part of a bigger community. Especially if you're a Canadian student, you're almost automatically already a part of the CLSA. This is David.
Hey guys, I'm Dave. I'm the vice president. Aside from acting as a medium of communication between the students and the faculty, the CLSA hosts various events to promote a healthy work-life balance for all students at Bond. So, Joe will later highlight some of the academic events, but some of the social events we host are for St. Patrick's Day, Canada Day, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and we also host a Sportapalooza event to encourage students to get out of the library and out under the Australian sun. It's important to note that these events are not only for students who are here at Bond, but for those back in Canada who are online as well, as Tiffany will show you.
Hey guys, I'm Tiffany. I'm the marketing director, so I'm in charge of keeping our social medias updated on all the events that CLSA has to offer. So here are two of our online members, Reed and Colleen.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Thanks Dave, thanks Tiff. We're so glad that we could still keep a connection with those online, especially during these times, but we do the best that we can for both our online and in-person students as well. Here's Jay.
I'm the outbound director. I stay up to date with the NCA process and opportunities available to students that are planning on returning to Canada, such as internships and clerkships. These are available each semester at our homebound seminar.
Thanks Jay. And this is Joe.
Hey everyone, I'm the competitions director. I organize CLSA competitions such as the NHL arbitration competition and the Canadian Constitutional Law Moot.
Thank you, Joe. So, thanks everybody for stopping by the CLSA office and getting a chance to meet all of us here. Don't forget to follow us on our social media channels on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat as well. And yeah, thanks everybody. Back to the studio.
Bye guys.
See ya.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll definitely be following you guys. Now, as Australia's most popular law school among Canadian students, the university attracts leading legal practitioners who have practiced in Canada and Australia. One of those professors is joining us live in the studio right now. Welcome Assistant Professor Lisa Bonin. Now, Lisa, I understand Bond has a full Canadian law program, and you're actually the director of that program.
Yes, I am, Candice. Thank you. We offer all of the subjects that are core to the NCA within our curriculum. So Canadian constitutional law, Canadian administrative law, the foundations course, and Canadian criminal law. And then associated as an adjunct after graduation, we also offer the legal professional module as a sort of free module add-on to ensure that the students are well prepared for the NCAs.
And of course, the subjects that we teach as electives, how do they then help with the NCA process?
We tend to mirror our curriculum very well, so they are really prep courses, but they're more than prep courses because they allow you to learn from Canadian academics and Canadian practitioners like myself and the visiting scholars you've heard our dean talk about, really immersed in the Canadian subjects. So it's more than just a preparation for the NCA, it's really in anticipation of going home to practice.
We're so lucky to have you here at Bond. How did you come about to start at Bond?
That's a really long story, probably more than we have time for.
We'll catch up later.
But I did start practice in Canada. I practiced for 7 years as a litigator before moving to Australia and starting up a sort of life as an academic. So,
do we have any other Canadian professors?
Not full Canadian professors within the faculty, but we have a number who teach within the subjects. And as the dean mentioned, we invite a number of renowned academics and practitioners who are experts in their subjects to come and teach.
What other opportunities are available for Canadian students?
Many, actually. I think we offer a breadth of opportunities for both academic and non-academic social. So opportunities to get involved with mooting are huge. We are in the throes of actually preparing to compete in the Wilson Moot in about a week's time. I'm in the process of transitioning to Toronto time while still living in Australia since we're not able to travel just
sleep
yet.
For you.
No. Well, sleep just at odd hours. So mooting is a big part of that. And also, in addition to the academics, some career pathways, work opportunities. We have good relationships with firms back in Canada to enable our students to get work experience during our semester breaks and then transition into articling.
You mentioned mooting. I actually heard that there was a historic win just a few years ago. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, 2019, where we were fortunate enough to be traveling to Canada for the moot and actually took out the Wilson Moot Cup, which is one of the preeminent moot competitions in Canada, named after and in honor of the first female justice on our Supreme Court.
How phenomenal is that?
It was pretty amazing.
Congratulations. I hope there's more of that to come. As a small university, Bond has the lowest student-to-teacher ratio in the whole country. What does that actually mean when you break it down for students?
It means a lot of one-on-one contact and small classes and small tutorials. So students can have relationships with their professors in the real sort of deep academic sense, to be able to have an open conversation on subjects, or if you're just feeling like you have additional questions, you can ask them in class, but you can come and see me or any of your professors kind of any time. And in addition, with things like our mooting program, you really get to take that deep dive and engage on really interesting issues at that deeper level on a sort of personal level. So I know my students by name, I know who they are. I've stayed in touch with a lot of them and watched their careers, and it's really an amazing thing.
I still stay in touch with everyone too, because small class sizes, you get to become best friends with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so many benefits. You were saying you practiced as a litigator in a top tier law firm in Canada prior to your move over to Australia. Do you feel that Bond's law programs really prepare you for the real world?
Yeah, I would say yes, because I've gone to a Canadian law school before practicing, and I think the skills-based curriculum here actually prepares students better than many of the Canadian law schools. Perhaps some of them are catching up, but the embedded skills within subjects and the opportunities in mooting and other advocacy and skills-based competitions, as well as within the curriculum, are things that really place our students well when they go out into the workforce, so they're more workforce ready.
Absolutely. What can you and also the other Canadian professors do to connect these students once they graduate with potential employers?
Well, our Office of Career Development has extensive relationships with the Canadian law firms, and we have a homebound seminar for Canadian students every semester. So I lead a session every semester in basically informing our students about NCA processes, the career pathways, how to apply for jobs, access to the employment portals, and all of that essential information. So there's a lot of assistance and advice for the next part of the degree, or the next part of the practice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today, Lisa. I've learnt so much. Now we're heading back to the Faculty of Law, where current law student Alana is going to dive into more detail about the faculty.
Hello from Bond University on Australia's Gold Coast. My name is Alana, and while I'm currently based here, you might be able to tell from my accent that I am actually from Calgary, Alberta. I first came to Bond in 2016 to study a combined degree in arts and law, and I am now studying my Master's of Law by Research. Bond is Australia's largest law school for Canadian Juris Doctor and Bachelor of Laws candidates. One of the reasons it is so popular is because of the strong links with Canada. In fact, Bond has been training Canadian lawyers for over 20 years. There is a rapidly expanding group of Bond Law Canadian alumni working as partners and senior practitioners in Canada and worldwide. Bond's programs have earned a strong reputation for producing exceptional legal practitioners. An important feature of Bond's Juris Doctor and Bachelor of Laws for Canadian students is their inclusion of specialized Canadian subjects delivered by Canadian legal professionals, some of whom travel across the hemisphere to teach us. You'll get to know your teachers really well. They're not just your lecturers or tutors, they're your mentors. As a Canadian law student at Bond, you'll become familiar with the Canadian Law Students Association, known as the CLSA. There are currently over 150 Canadian students studying law at Bond, and the CLSA exists to make life easier and help facilitate additional opportunities for Bond students in Canada. The CLSA provides information sessions on the National Committee of Accreditation process, as well as information for Canadians wishing to stay in Australia. But it's not all business. We show Australians how to celebrate Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, and of course, Canada Day. In addition to the CLSA, Bond has over 100 student clubs on campus, which you can become a part of during your studies. These include sporting, academic, and cultural clubs. I was the Law Student Association Social Director in 2019 and planned Law Ball, and have also held a position on the Bond University Students Association as the International Student Liaison, where I work to improve support systems for our diverse student population. One thing that may surprise you about studying law at Bond is how the program is structured. It's not about textbooks and written tests here. Bond really teaches you how to prepare to be a lawyer. Every subject and semester assessment is broken into tutorial performance, attendance, legal skills exercises, and a final exam. It's all structured around real-world skills. The law faculty has legal skills embedded into every subject, ensuring we practice real legal skills as a part of our assessment, which could be a negotiation, a moot, or a mediation, getting you ready to practice in Australia or back home. You'll have full access to our multi-million-dollar Legal Skills Center, which incorporates purpose-built mediation, dispute resolution, professional legal training rooms, and of course, our electronic moot courtrooms. In my time at Bond, I've competed and coached international and national moot competitions, including the Philip C. Jessup International Law Moot, which is the largest moot competition in the world. The faculty is highly acclaimed, taking out multiple national mooting competitions and scoring highly in international competitions, including Canada. In 2018, Bond became the first non-Canadian law school to win the prestigious Wilson Moot in Toronto, Ontario. The moot court comprises of an ultra-contemporary courtroom setting and is equipped with evidence management systems, video conferencing facilities, and video streaming that replicates the very latest technology. Since we learn in such small class sizes at Bond, it also means everyone has access to the facilities and has the opportunity to get hands-on training and experience to familiarize themselves with the modern technology used as a part of their studies. And of course, it wouldn't be a top law school without an amazing legal library. The recently refurbished John and Allison Kearney Law Library has a range of flexible study options, consultations, collaborative spaces, and silent study areas. The Law Library maintains an extensive collection of specialized law resources online and in print for Australian and selected international jurisdictions, like Canada. Before we finish showing you around, I wanted to talk to you about what happens after your degree. Bond has a career development center with dedicated specialists to help you gain work experience and internships, including in Canada. The faculty has lots of connections to law firms in Canada, and Bond students regularly gain internships and employments at home. Bond graduates are working at top-tier law firms all over the world, which means we have a large cohort of Canadian alumni to network with and even work with in the future. And that's the Bond Faculty of Law. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please reach out to Stuart Floyd. He was a huge help when I was deciding where to study, and you're in very good hands with his guidance on your side. Goodbye for now. You never know. You might see me on campus in the future.
There are more than 2,000 Canadian Bond alumni working all over the world. Now it's time to speak to one of them. James Gilbert completed his Juris Doctor at Bond in 2016, returning to Toronto to start his career, where he now practices as a lawyer alongside his wife, also a Bondie. So what made you decide to come to Bond? Hello, welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for hosting me this evening.
Thank you. I heard it's very cold in Canada right now.
Oh, yes. We're in the midst of a polar vortex. Yeah, to answer your question, why did I choose Bond? There are many reasons. The main reasons were the accelerated program. Being able to complete your law degree in a 2-year span meant a lot to me as an older student. I was 32 when I decided to attend Bond University. So to get on with my career was important. Additionally, the Canadian focus was quite interesting. And I spoke to a friend of mine that actually, in fact, went to Bond and completed her JD at Bond and made a seamless return to Canada. And those are some of the main reasons why I chose Bond.
Can you recall one of your favorite memories for us here on campus?
Oh, there were many. Could be down at Dawn's or could have been walking out of my final exam. But I'd have to say my greatest moment was finally graduating and enjoying a glass of champagne with my parents.
Oh, I still remember that feeling. It's amazing. And how did you find the transition between studying in Canada and then Australia?
Yeah, it could be quite intimidating when you hear about the NCA and the Law Society and all the hurdles that you have to kind of overcome to get back. But in fact, it was quite seamless. You just have to be organized. I applied for articling positions halfway through my Bond, my JD, and I ended up receiving an offer to article with Canadian Blood Services. So before I had graduated, I had a job to come back to, and Bond helped out tremendously by sending out our transcripts to the NCA and just writing the exams and staying on top of deadlines, and it wasn't bad at all.
Did you have any challenges?
Coming back? Leaving the warm weather to come to the cold here was probably the biggest challenge.
Good answer.
But, I didn't really have many challenges other than, you have those additional NCA exams that you have to study for, and you just have to stay on top of your deadlines. But as a law student, you'll learn how to manage with timelines and deadlines, and, if I can get through it, I think anyone could.
And do you think you could have predicted the career path you'd have after graduation? Was it how you imagined?
Not necessarily. I didn't know what area of practice I was going to practice. I kind of found my way into criminal and employment law. I do enjoy the courtroom, so I kind of fell into place as a criminal and employment lawyer. It does help that my brother was a former federal crown, so he kind of helped steer me in that direction.
Absolutely. It just shows how important, obviously, networking is. Would you say you found your job easily?
The one at Canadian Blood Services, the articling position, I sent out a number of applications. It's quite competitive to get an articling position, but everyone that I went to school with at Bond ended up finding a position and being called to the bar. So it, like anything else, it's competitive, but if you stay focused and don't get discouraged, there are jobs out there.
That sounds really reassuring. Do you have any specific advice to those students?
Yeah, and I mentioned it 3 times. It's timelines, and make sure you're sending out your applications well in advance. If you wait to the last minute, you might not get the position. So stay focused and set your goals and keep on them and send out those applications.
And you're not just saying that, you're actually an expert who employs graduates. What is your professional opinion of Bond graduates?
Yeah, I've actually had 3 Bond students work for our office. 1 as an articling student and 2 as students that were returning to Bond between semesters. And I'd have to say that I've had positive experience with all of them. I felt very comfortable having them, engage in any type of activity that I would typically engage in as an articling student or even as a lawyer. So I've sent my articling students to court to adjourn matters, to deal with my disclosure reviews and help out. So I was quite impressed with the caliber. Myself being a Bond graduate, I know what Bond offers and how it teaches us. So I feel comfortable, and I felt comfortable having all my Bond students.
Well, thank you for keeping the reputation alive overseas as well. You also take current Bond students for internships. Can you tell us a little bit more about this? And do you actually help them get a job after that as well?
Yes, so I've had 2 Bond students come through. One was, it's been a while now because of COVID. So it was last year, I believe we had 1 in the year before we had another student. But once COVID's a thing of the past, we'll definitely have another student join us. But yeah, we provide them with reference letters, and we encourage them to apply at our firm if they're interested in the areas of practice that we practice. So, and we just talk to them as kind of a friend and give them advice and see if they're interested in family law or in civil litigation or in criminal law or conveyance and real estate law.
It's fantastic that you have that service. Thank you so much, even being on the other side of the world, to have a true Bondie. From what you're saying, it's incredible. Just to finish off, do you have one last piece of advice for a student who's thinking about coming to study their law degree?
Just do it. It's a great experience. I really enjoyed the Gold Coast. It's a great environment to go to law school.
Well, thank you so much.
Cool.
We'll be back in a moment.
Yeah.
Thank you
Have
so
fun.
much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We'll be back. We're going to chat a little bit more to Stuart, which I'm really excited about, which would actually end up wrapping up the law section of our live stream. So thank you again. See you soon.
University because of the practical experiences that you gain here, the small class sizes, and the Canadian electives. Bond has been the best home away from home.
Hello, Stuart. We've covered so much information on the Faculty of Law today. Your thoughts, please, Stuart?
Absolutely. Lots of great information there. It was excellent to hear from the Dean, from the current CLSA group. I really encourage any students to follow them on Facebook, and you'll see all the great things they're doing on campus, as well as to hear then from Lisa and also James there as our alumnus in Toronto, one of the now over 2,000 that we have from our program.
Before we go, could you just talk us through the application process for Bond's law programs?
Absolutely. The admissions process for law is something that is quite simple with Bond. And one thing that all Canadian students need to understand is that it is very, very different to the way you would apply to a Canadian law school. To begin with, we have 3 semesters a year and an intake in every semester. And so that means it's a new cohort starting every semester. You can apply at any time for any upcoming intake. There are no limits or quotas on how many students we accept. So the process is actually not competitive. Every application is assessed individually and upon merit. Now, there are slightly different requirements for the Bachelor of Laws and for the Juris Doctor program. The Bachelor of Laws is for students who don't yet have a completed undergraduate degree or won't have one before they commence at Bond. The Juris Doctor program, though, is for students who have got a degree or will have finished a bachelor degree in Canada before they come and study with us. Typically, we're looking for students to have a cumulative GPA of around about a 70%. So that's a B- average on a 4.0 scale, somewhere around about a 2.7 to 2.9. Importantly, that is not a cutoff. So when we do your academic assessment, we're actually looking more for things like your grade progression, as well as then your consistency. So we understand that your first semester at university might not have been the best, you might have been partying a little bit, but as long as you've demonstrated to us over your bachelor degree or perhaps through high school towards the end of grade 12, that you are achieving at that high level and consistently, then that will be more important to us. So students with a 68% average or something like that may still achieve entry to our program. The other important factor is that no LSAT is required. Even if you have an LSAT, we're not interested in it. Again, because we have a much more personalized approach to our admissions, and we're really looking at the factors, the skills, the strengths that you have that will actually sort of determine whether you're going to be a good student. So the LSAT, not required. When you apply, we also ask you to submit a copy of your passport, copy of your resume, and I usually get students to put a brief personal statement together, a couple of 100 words, around why they want to study law, why they want to come to Bond, and what their future goals and ambitions are. Typically, once you've applied, you will receive a response, usually within about 5 to 10 business days, sometimes sooner. And so if it's positive, that will be your letter of offer. We have a flexible deferral policy that allows you to defer that offer right up until 3 semesters after your initial start date. And at the same time, your offer is your offer. So you don't have to accept that offer until much closer to your starting semester. So all in all, as you can see, very different to the Canadian law schools. I really encourage you to get in touch with me if you're thinking about applying, and I can walk you through that whole process. I'm essentially here as your admissions concierge, so everything that you need from the first inquiry point right through until that day when you hopefully step forward on campus, I'm here to assist with.
Stuart, you're making me want to sign up again. Oh, wow. It's very inspiring. There is so many faculties, and I can't wait to keep going. But just quickly, is there one other thing that Canadians might need to know before we jump ahead to our next faculty?
Absolutely. Realistically, they need to just jump on and apply. Applications are free, so it doesn't matter if you want to get in and do an application while you're still waiting for offers from other universities or you're applying to Canadian programs. Jump in, do an application, know where you stand with Bond, and hopefully from there you'll have an offer in your back pocket ready to go when you're coming to Bond. There's no obligation to accept. Obviously, though, we would love to see you down at Bond.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Stuart, and thank you to everyone who's watching. We'll be back very soon with everything you need to know about 2 more faculties at Bond, the Bond Business School and the Faculty of Society and Design. In the meantime, make sure you get in touch with Stuart and enter the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher at bond.edu.au/study in Australia. Welcome back and welcome to our next session of Study in Australia live from Bond University, which is all about the Bond Business School and Faculty of Society and Design. We're going to give you an overview of both exciting faculties today, but if you'd like to learn more, visit bond.edu.au/study in Australia to get in touch with us and, of course, enter the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher. First up, it's time to get down to business. The Bond Business School is among the top 2% of business schools worldwide and offers a range of business, commerce, actuarial science, data analytics, hotel and tourism and sport management programs at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. To show us around the faculty, current Bachelor of Commerce student Joshua is going to tell us all about the Bond Business School.
Hi there, my name's Josh. I'm studying a Bachelor of Commerce and a Bachelor of Laws at Bond University. And today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Bond Business School. Accredited by the AACSB and Equus, the Bond Business School is among the top 2% of business schools worldwide. We offer a range of undergraduate and postgraduate programs across actuarial science, data analytics, business and commerce, hotel and tourism, and sport management. At an undergraduate level, every single Bond Business School student is welcomed into a mentoring program which supports them through the transition to university. Every student has access to the Business Commons, a dedicated space for students to meet and study, as well as the Transformer, a fee-free entrepreneurship program. One of our study areas is actuarial science. Bond offers the only fully accredited actuarial science program in Queensland, and one of only 7 in Australia. They learn from internationally recognised academics and have opportunities to put their skills into practice from day one. Students have 24/7 access to the state-of-the-art Bond FinTech Hub, which features 40 Bloomberg terminals and live-streamed financial market data. The FinTech Hub has a dedicated supervisor who is able to provide training to all students as well as our alumni. The Bond Business School is also home to the Centre for Data Analytics, bringing together researchers, top students and businesses to collaborate on real-world problems. In today's commercial industries, skills in data analytics are highly sought after. At Bond, our data analytics programs are designed to prepare students for a future where big data, machine learning and artificial intelligence will be fully integrated into the business environment. Bond offers a wide range of programs in business and commerce, with the opportunity for students to specialise in the majors and minors, including entrepreneurship and innovation, international business management, marketing, tourism management, accounting, actuarial science, big data, economics and finance. In addition, our hotel and tourism management programs prepare students for a global career, led by teachers who bring a wealth of international, academic and industry experience to the classroom. Programs in sport management are available at an undergraduate and postgraduate level, delivered by experts in sport management, marketing, law, business and public relations. Students are immersed in the industry from day one, gaining industry experience and networking opportunities through work placements. Bond has connections with national and international sporting organisations, including the World Surf League and the Australian Olympic Committee. The Bond Business School student community is incredibly diverse and welcoming. Among Australians and Canadians, you will form a valuable global network of peers, academics and industry leaders. I hope to welcome you to the Bond Business School soon.
Welcome back to Study in Australia, live from Bond. I can't believe the range of business study areas on offer. How exciting is that? I am so tempted to come back to Bond and study again. I think I'd do a postgrad degree, but I don't even know what I'd study yet. But first, we're going to speak to an academic from the Bond Business School who also happens to have a very Canadian connection. Perfect for today. Welcome, Colette. Now, I heard you've spent a lot of time in Canada. Is that right?
Well, people can probably tell from my accent that I was born and raised in Canada. So I grew up in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I studied human physiology at McGill and molecular biology and genetics at Guelph, where I met my lovely partner. And when our kids were 1 and 3, we moved to the U.S. for about 7 years. So our children kind of grew up Americans, but then we moved back to Canada so they were able to do their high school years in Canada, and they're both graduates of Western University in Canada, and they're also both graduates of Bond University.
You have studied such a diverse range of things. You're a bit like me. I have no idea what I'd do next.
Well, I did my MBA when we were in the U.S., and then we wanted to go back to Canada, so I did my PhD at Western in business. And so then when we made the move here as a family to Bond, it was pretty great.
So epic. Now, having worked at a business school in Canada, how does it differ here?
Well, I don't know if it's true for all of Australia, because I think it might be different in Sydney and Melbourne, but definitely in Queensland, it's more casual here. So when I was teaching at the Ivy Business School in Canada, I always wore a black or pinstripe suit, and this is what I wear when I'm teaching at Bond. So I have color in my wardrobe now, and I usually wear sleeveless dresses. I did wear suits my first semester here, which was the winter, so that was fine, but then when the summer semester came around, I couldn't be wearing these big black and grey suits.
Australians are casual.
Yeah, so it's definitely more casual, and also, I heard some people earlier speak about the work-life balance, and I'd say Australians don't feel guilty about taking vacations or taking weekends off, and you don't need to be a workaholic to be successful here. So it's a pretty great difference.
I feel like I'm really lucky right now. So what is the benefit of studying business at Bond as an international student compared to the more traditional pathway of studying, say, in Canada?
Well, definitely in Australia, but even more so at Bond, you can do all of your degrees more quickly here. So traditionally in Canada, a business student would do a 4-year honors undergrad, whereas in Australia, you would do a 3-year degree. Very few students go on for the honors year. Here at Bond, you can do a 2-year. So you could come to Bond and in 2 years do your undergrad, stay an extra year, do a Master of Finance, and in 3 years you've got a master's and an undergraduate degree, whereas you would still be an undergrad in Canada. So the accelerated pathway is definitely quicker. And then at the PhD level, for example, doing your PhD in the US or Canada is a minimum of 4 years. Probably 5 is more realistic, whereas here it's more of a 3-year, 4-year at the absolute most.
I think I was 19 or 20 when I graduated, so I think I can definitely come back and study some more.
I think so
I
too.
I need to. What surprised you most about joining Bond and the Gold Coast lifestyle?
So being able to swim outdoors all year round was really big for me. So Bond, you've seen on the tours. It's absolutely beautiful campus. We're a small university, less than 4,000 students, but we have a 50-meter outdoor pool. We also have a 25-meter indoor pool as well. So one night I was doing some backstroke in the pool, looking up at the stars, thinking like, how great is this? Because I think it was February, which is, can be pretty cold in Canada. And then all of a sudden I started seeing fireworks going on.
No
and
way.
I thought, so all the Bondies know that our Vice Chancellor likes fireworks too. So our Bond Open Day is really different from the rest of the country because ours is in the evening and we have fireworks. And then when we have our alumni events once a year, there's always fireworks too. And these are really great fireworks over the lake. So
I love the open days. I've
Yeah.
been to all of them, even if it's not relevant, I'll go to the open day. So we've seen obviously so many facilities through all the little packages today. How can students really take advantage? What would you say to them?
Well, Josh had already given a tour of the new FinTech hub. In that, we've got 40 Bloomberg terminals, so more than any other business school in Australia. Wow. Unparalleled access. Most business schools would have one or two. Certain business schools in Australia, who I won't name, don't actually let the students touch them. Oh. Whereas here, we've got free classes every Friday, so we've got a dedicated manager who's going to help you get up to speed on that. So that's pretty great. We've just, you saw the data analytics building that just opened as well. We've got the commercialization center. We've got the transformer.
There's so many things.
The facilities are beautiful, but really the advantages are the mission statement of the business school is building tomorrow's business leaders one by one.
On that note, do you have any advice for the Canadian students who might like to visit here?
Just do it.
Do it? You've sold. You're the best person ever. Thank you so much, Colette. I've really, really enjoyed chatting with you today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now over to our next faculty, the Faculty of Society and Design. Known as one of the most eclectic faculties in the world, this is also Bond's largest faculty. From architecture to project management, journalism to film and television, there is just so much to explore here. So let's get into it. First, film and television student Hilary Chua from Vancouver Island is going to show us around the faculty. Then we'll be speaking to Executive Dean Professor Derek Carson live in the studio. Over to you, Hilary.
Welcome to the Faculty of Society and Design. I'm Hilary, a Bachelor of Film and Television student here at Bond. I'm originally from Vancouver Island, where I attended Brentwood College School before moving to the Gold Coast. As a Canadian Bondie, I wanted to tell you all about the Faculty of Society and Design. Let's get started. The Faculty of Society and Design at Bond University is among the most exciting and interesting faculties in Australia. There's a huge range of study areas that students can explore, with world-class academics and staff and amazing opportunities to apply your learning in a real-life setting. The faculty has a practical focus with an award-winning Model UN program with global negotiations and opportunities in international relations degrees, a psychology teaching clinic where student interns provide services to the community, and high-tech labs for multimedia, gaming, and film and television. As a film and television student, I'm lucky to be studying in a Hollywood hotspot here on the Gold Coast, where blockbusters like Godzilla vs. Kong, Aquaman, Thor Ragnarok, and Dora and the Lost City of Gold have recently been filmed. Bond students have gone on to work in the industry all around the world. We have access to the same equipment that big production companies are using in the industry, and almost every subject has a practical component embedded into the curriculum. There are great internship and career opportunities available. We've had Bond film and television students working on live broadcasts like Big Brother, the Commonwealth Games, and even on shows over in Los Angeles. In addition, the faculty has an exclusive partnership with Screen Queensland, housing the creative hub on campus. Students have the opportunity to undertake internships with industry professionals for academic credit. Bond's broad range of communication and creative media degrees helps students realize their ambitions. You can tailor your studies to focus on journalism, digital media, social media, marketing, advertising, and public relations, or keep your options open with a broad-based communications degree. The faculty is home to the Obedience School of Architecture, delivering undergraduate and postgraduate programs in architecture. Students have exclusive access to collaborative design studios, reading and resource rooms, an atelier, as well as impressive exhibition and event spaces. Every student has their own dedicated studio space within the building. Importantly, the AACA agreement between Australia, New Zealand, and Canada enables the mutual recognition of experienced registered architects in all three countries. The building is complemented by an additional workshop building, as well as the Architecture Fabrication Research Laboratory, which houses computing and fabrication labs, as well as a digital robotics lab. Bond offers a number of programs in built environment, including construction practice, property and valuation, sustainable environment, city planning, and project management. We recently opened a new environmentally sustainable building within the Society and Design Precinct. Purpose-built, it houses a state-of-the-art computer laboratory as well as flexible learning spaces. Students can learn, engage, and collaborate with their peers, teaching staff, and industry guests. It contains recycled materials, has enough solar panels to power 10 homes, and features charging stations for electric vehicles. Many students choose to study psychology, criminology, and social sciences at Bond. The School of Psychology offers a suite of fully accredited programs and has established itself as a leader in undergraduate and postgraduate teaching and research across areas including clinical organizational, social, and health psychology. With all degrees, Bond's 3-semester per year schedule means students can complete their degrees much faster than at other universities, entering the workforce sooner or completing 2 degrees in the time it takes others to complete a single qualification. And that's the Faculty of Society and Design at Bond. I've really enjoyed my time here so far, and I hope to welcome you to the Bond community soon.
Well, that takes me back to my time here at Bond. We're actually just discussing what I can study next. Thank you so much, Hilary. Welcome to the studio, Professor Derek Carson. Now, Derek, you're the Executive Dean of the faculty. What's one thing every Canadian student needs to know about society and design?
Well, I mean, as was said in the introduction there, our faculty is a very eclectic one, probably one of the most eclectic and progressive in Australia, ranging from psychology, social sciences, humanities, languages, right through to built environment and architecture. And it's that multidisciplinary environment which really sets us apart. So students who come to study with us, of course, they're interested in studying a particular program, and they will learn a tremendous amount about that program, but they will benefit from the fact that they are being taught in an environment where there are so many disciplines with a slightly different take on perhaps the one problem that they're looking at, and that leads for a very, very interesting and worthwhile educational experience.
It's also a global experience. Why is that so important that you teach that global mindset?
Well, I mean, these days, I mean, the world is a very small place. I mean, in fact, one actually only has to think about the pandemic and so on. Now, we are connected. We're all connected. Yes. And yes, all of our programs take an international view. We have an international cohort of students. Our faculty, over 50% of students are joining us from other countries, and that's either here on campus or remotely. Our faculty are a mix of different nationalities, and that's really important these days, because being a student at university, yes, you're here to study a particular, as I said before, you're here to study a particular program, but you're here to question your ideas. You're here to learn. You're here to realize that there's more than one perspective, there's more than one viewpoint, and we help teach students to reflect, to question what they believe and why they believe it, and what they think evidence is, and so on. And just to be open to the fact that your perspective is likely to be different from someone else's perspective. And that's what we think global citizenship is all about. And all our programs look at trying to develop a number of graduate attributes. Global citizenship is just one of those.
I love that word, global citizenship, especially at the moment. There are so many programs to choose from. What are some of the most popular programs, especially with international students?
Yeah, well, of course, international students choose to come and study all of our programs. I mean, we have actually over 72 named programs in our faculty. As we say, we're Bond's largest faculty. But in the last few semesters, programs that have been proved to be particularly popular are both our undergraduate and postgraduate programs in construction management and quantity surveying. Project management. We're one of only 3 universities in Australia to offer project management both at undergraduate and postgraduate level. Most universities only teach it at postgraduate level. We are one of the few who are really turning project management on its head. We think the skills of being a project manager are themselves intrinsically important, and then you can specialise later on. And international students are being drawn to that programme in particular, because there are very few places in the world actually where you can study project management at undergraduate level. And in the more creative side of the faculty, we have the film and television. That's very popular with yes, it's very popular with international students, and it's all of our programs are there for both domestic and international, and they're all improved by having domestic and international students being taught at the same time. Again, it goes back to that global citizenship, that we want our students to be to experience and be open to other cultures, other perspectives, and that happens in all our programs.
When you say experience, do you mean work experience? Could you do work experience being an international student here?
Yeah, you certainly could. Work experience is embedded into all our programs. So every student has the opportunity to embark on some form of work experience. For some students, that'll become an internship. For other students, it's a capstone project that they work in partnership with industry at the end of their program. But these are opportunities are available to all students. And so, for example, let's take film and television again. You seem quite interested in that a moment ago. So the film and television program, we 2 years ago, when I first came to Bond, one of the first things I did is I reached out to the film and television industry, because I don't know if you know, but here on the Gold Coast, it's one of the world's leading places to come and shoot feature films. In fact, at the moment, because of the pandemic, it's one of the few places that we can still shoot feature films. Tom Hanks effectively lives here on the Gold Coast now. He's shooting a number of films. But we've reached out because of our film and television program, and we've signed an exclusive agreement with Screen Queensland. So Screen Queensland creatives actually reside here on our campus at Bond. They share space with my faculty. So we've got staff, Bond students, the Screen Queensland staff all working together, sharing space and learning together.
That is phenomenal. And do you think that could happen in Canada? What if you want to do your experience in Canada? Could you help with that potentially?
Yes, I mean, look, these days, one of the things that the pandemic is showing us is that everyone has to be flexible. We have to be flexible in our approaches. And whereas in the past we thought that in order to have an experience, you actually had to physically go and visit another country, but that's just not available to many people now. And so therefore we are open to look for internships, remote internships that can be done, so students can get a virtual experience, still a rewarding experience and still an educational experience. And we are open to look for those opportunities and work with students to find those opportunities.
It's very inspiring stuff. Thank you so much, Derek. We really appreciate your time, and I hope to hear from you again soon. We're going to check in with Stuart in a moment, but after learning more about the exciting programs Bond offers, you might be wondering, how do I sign up? Well, it's a very simple process, so let's take a look.
Applying to Bond is so easy that I've been set a challenge to show you how to do it in under 60 seconds, and I've already used 6 of them. Head to apply.bond.edu.au, where you can access our online application portal. Hit register, then enter your details to make an account. This means you'll be able to access and return to your application at any time. Now that you're logged in, search for the program you wish to apply for and make sure you've checked the entry requirements. Click Apply Now, then we will give you some instructions on what you may need to complete your application. The first part of the application is all about you. Make sure you fill in all of the relevant fields. Choose when you'd like to start and enter details about your academic history, uploading all the transcripts and documents required. Complete a few final details, upload any additional documents, then check everything you've uploaded and submit. That's it. Next, we'll be in touch if we need any other information from you and to hopefully issue you an offer. That's how you apply to Bond, and I believe we've made it in under 60 seconds.
If you'd like to learn more about applying to Bond, head to bond.edu.au/apply. Before we move on to our next session, I think we've got Stuart on the line again. Stuart, are you there?
I'm here, Candice.
Hello. Now, the Bond Business School and Faculty of Society and Design has so many exciting study areas to offer. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. So many great programs. I'm also a graduate of the Faculty of Society and Design, and I'm actually studying at the moment. I'm doing my master's in project management through the remote study here from Canada. So I'm a student once again.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And what do future students need to know about applying for a program in these areas?
So the applications are very straightforward. Typically, a lot of the questions we get about supplying transcripts and those sorts of things around whether you need formal documents Typically for the application, we just need unofficial copies as long as it shows your name, the name of the institution, and the program that you're studying. Beyond that, as you just saw, it's very straightforward to apply. So get online, go to the website, start filling out an application, or if you have questions, reach out to me and I can be there to help you with that application.
So just to reiterate, how can students get in touch with you for a personal consultation?
Basically, go to the Bond website, bond.edu.au/study in Australia, fill out an inquiry form. That will come direct to me and I will be in touch with you to follow up from there.
Thank you, Stuart. There is so much to discuss. We could talk about these faculties for ages, especially my favourite ones. But now it's time to talk about career development and admissions, very important stuff. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments and visit bond.edu.au/study in Australia to get in touch with Stuart. The page is also your ticket to entering the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher. Welcome back to Study in Australia, live from Bond University. Up next, we're going to talk about all things career development. Bond graduates are ranked the best in Australia, boasting the highest employer satisfaction rating in the country. So what makes graduates stand out? Well, in addition to their academic program, Bond students have access to an array of services designed to improve their employability and prepare them to excel after graduation. Many of those services are offered by the Career Development Centre, and joining me in the studio right now is Aiko Fujino, the Manager of International Career Development. Great to see you, Aiko. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, we're so grateful that you could be here. Can you tell us a little bit about the range of services that the Career Development Centre offers Canadian students?
Absolutely. Within the Career Centre office, we have a range of professional staff members, ranging from the business development team to the career counsellor team. The business development team works throughout the year to secure excellent work experience opportunities for students, no matter what degree you're in. And the career counsellors day to day can help all Canadian students with everything from CV updating to LinkedIn status updating to interview skills to workshops in actually engaging with employers and having that confidence once they're in the interview stages.
I remember actually using the services. I loved it. I learned a lot about myself through, what I wanted to do. So thank you for that. Bond graduates are regarded so highly by employers. What does Bond do differently with their students that gives them that edge?
I think it comes down to a lot to do with the staff to student ratio, that we're actually able to engage with students so closely one-on-one, whether it be those small points like CV updating and interview skills beforehand, or or whether it be working with someone like myself to say if you wanted some work experience overseas, it could be a Canadian student looking to source some opportunities back in their hometown or at least their home country. They can come to me, have a very specialised one-on-one appointment, and we can talk about what their goals are and when's the best time to do these experiences throughout their degree.
That's fantastic. You can help people who want to go back to Canada. I'm sure
Absolutely.
people watching right now are relieved to hear that. It's an excellent service. You've actually been to Canada yourself. Can you give us a bit of a snapshot of that experience?
Certainly. In these recent years when I was more fortunate to travel, I have travelled from West Coast to East Coast, so Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto are obviously the big spots to hit in Canada, but it's been a pleasure. I will work with industry, so sometimes I'll work with HR members within certain organisations to some of our graduates who are now based back in those cities, and have established their own firms. Sometimes they're so graceful and gracious, to offer students some work experience if ever they're back during some semester breaks or just when they finish their degree.
It's so awesome to hear that. I just feel reassured knowing you can go to the other side of the world, but you'll be taken care of when you're home.
Absolutely.
I just think that's awesome. What about alumni? Are there opportunities for students to connect with Canadian Bond alumni as well?
There certainly is. I guess when you're studying on campus, we have very, very helpful students through organisations like the Canadian Law Students Association, for example. They have an alumni director on their group every semester, so they help me engage with alumni who are back overseas. Staff members, my colleagues such as Stuart, he's so well connected with the alumni community back in Canada, and I'm so pleased to say that Vancouver and Toronto, for example, have really, really great networks going at the moment, and they're more than happy to help current Bondies, current students, if ever they have any questions for when they graduate.
You're making me want to travel there now, and I'll definitely be asking you for where all the Canadian parties are, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Aiko. You do an amazing job. Keep it up. Now, the career support is just one of the many services that all Bond students get access to. These services, as well as Bond's accelerated schedule, all contribute to the value of Bond student experience. I'll see you back in the studio in a moment, but first, let's break down the value of a Bond degree.
We think Plato got it right. There are fewer decisions in life more important than selecting your career. And choosing the right university makes all the difference between an ordinary and an extraordinary career. Or should we say, life. So, you're at a crossroad. Not only are you unsure of where your future career will take you, you're unsure which university is best equipped to guide you, door A or door B. So, how do you compare? Let's break it down. First of all, what do you want to be in life? Ambition is a very personal thing, and success means different things to different people. So let's assume you know what you want to be. All you need to work out is how you're going to get there. The answer seems obvious. Study the relevant degree, right? Wrong. Employer feedback is loud and clear that a student's degree is just one element required for a successful career. And this is where it gets tricky. Beyond a degree, employers are looking for the total package. Life experience, international exchange, industry experience, extracurricular participation, global perspective. So how can a university help each and every student achieve their own personal ambition while ticking all the boxes? Consider it this way. A good education is measured on its inputs. Experienced professors? Check. Industry-relevant curriculum? Check. But you'd expect this of any university. A great education is measured on its outcomes. Imagine the impact you can make on your career and your competition with personal introductions to international blue-chip firms. Consider the advantages of choosing a university that measures its success on your outcomes. A university that shares your success and nurtures your ambition, where 100% of tuition fees are reinvested back into the university to provide a better experience for you. For our school leavers, think of the transition from the 30-student classroom to the university environment. Ask yourself, which option will you cope with? Scrap that. Which option will you thrive in? challenged and supported by a team of experienced mentors, from world-class academics to industry-savvy career consultants, all focused on helping you unlock your inner potential. That's the Bond Advantage, and it's this unique quality which will help you reach the heights of your ambition, whatever that might be. Sounds exclusive, right? Wrong. It's actually the most inclusive university experience you'll find. Imagine sharing your university days with like-minded students from all around the world, studying in small classes and forming a close-knit and highly supportive network of your peers, using the latest software, equipment and resources that you don't have to queue to use. It all adds up to greater access, greater outcomes, a greater career. So if your ambition is to save money, take door A and get ready to queue. If your ambition is to think bigger, to go further, if you're determined to achieve something extraordinary, your choice is clear. Because when it comes to choosing your university, the true measure isn't cost, it's value. And so Plato's saying is just as relevant now as it was over 2,000 years ago. In the end, the equation is simple. Do you want a degree, or do you want to bring your ambition to life?
Well, I can personally vouch for how valuable the Bond University experience is. I've made it pretty clear how excited I am about it, and I actually wouldn't be standing here today if I hadn't studied at Bond, so that's pretty cool. Now, like all universities, there are fees associated with studying. Fortunately, Canadian students are able to access student loans, and Bond even has a dedicated Canadian financial aid expert to help students along the journey and provide personal support. To give us an overview of the student loan system, we've got Stuart on the line to cover the key things we need to know about financial aid. Hello again, Stuart. How are you enjoying the broadcast?
Doing well, thanks, Candace. It's going great.
Excellent. Now, can Canadians get student loans from Canada while they're studying at Bond?
Yes, so Bond University is registered with both the Canadian Federal Loan Program and all of the provincial loan organisations.
So do they have to pay interest on the loans during their time at Bond?
No, as long as you're enrolled in a 60% full-time load, then you don't have to pay interest while you're studying. And as an international student, all Canadians will need to maintain full-time continuing study. So that means that you will not be paying interest while you're studying at Bond.
Ooh, that's a bonus. I like the sound of that. So what is the process of applying for Bond?
So once you have an offer to study at Bond, the first thing you'll need to do is submit an application online via your province's financial assistance website. So OSAP in Ontario, BC Student Aid in BC, Alberta Student Aid in Alberta, etc.
Okay, so once the approvals are all complete, when are those funds released?
So once the forms have then come through and been signed off by Bond, from there you will sort of fill out the confirmation of enrollments, and then the funds are typically released just before or around about the start of the semester.
Is the money then sent to Bond the same way it works with Canadian universities?
No, it's a little bit different. So because we're an international university, the money will actually be sent direct to you as the student. So you'll be responsible for still paying your fees direct to Bond. It's important to note that the tuition fees are due before Friday of week one, before the Friday before week one of classes, which means that sometimes the provincial loans may not come until after you've started. So you need to be aware of that and make sure you've got all of your funding in place, potentially from other sources as well.
So exactly how much could you receive in a student loan?
So it depends. From the government or the provincial student loans and financing, it could range anywhere from $10,000 a year up to $40,000 a year, depending on your circumstances and the province in which you reside. So that's not going to be enough to cover all of your fees and tuition expenses. So you will need to look at other things like bank loans, bank lines of credit, etc.
Do they cover living expenses as well?
Yes, so the money that you get, you can use to put towards your living expenses or your tuition costs, or however you want to split that up. So that's, again, the beauty of the money being sent direct to you from the government.
That's, of course, the fun part, the living expenses, another word for, don't say, a holiday. In my opinion, all of the guys I used to hang out with, I felt like they were on holiday when they studied here. It's just so beautiful with all the beaches. You mentioned, obviously, bank and other lending facilities. What funding options are available?
So each of the big banks in Canada, so CIBC, TD, BMO, Scotia, etc., all have a professional student loan or line of credit. So especially for programs like law or physiotherapy, you can typically borrow anywhere from about $80,000 up to, in some cases, $250,000 or more, depending on your own personal circumstances. So there's lots of products out there. It's important to consider, obviously, your own financial circumstances and to talk to your bank.
Well, thanks for all of that information, Stuart. You're extremely knowledgeable. We also know that accommodation is obviously a huge consideration when students are exploring the option of moving to Australia. What options are there for students when it comes to budgeting and, of course, different types of accommodation around here?
So tuition fees are one thing. Living expenses are another thing that students need to take into account. So we usually recommend that Canadian students budget around $25,000 per year for all of their non-tuition expenses. So housing, food, rent, travel, etc. There's lots of great options, both on campus and close to campus. Our on-campus facilities are generally more focused at undergraduate students, those who are school leavers, so first time away from home. They're quite young, focused, and lots of pastoral care. For our graduate students, there are lots of great options off campus. And so there are houses, units, rental properties, etc., all within about a 1 to 2 minute walk to campus. This is some shots of some of those, and you can see there, as you said, it looks almost like a resort right on the lakes there. Some students choose to live close to campus, others choose to live by the beach, and there's lots of great transport networks all over the Gold Coast to get you to campus and where you need to go.
It is a beautiful campus. In fact, I've even been back here just to sit on the beautifully manicured grass. Well, that brings us to the end of this part of the broadcast, Stuart. So how did you find the sessions overall?
It was great to hear from ICO about the Career Development Centre and all of the work that they do for Canadian students, both in Australia and also back in Canada, and the connections they have with alumni and employers. I think it's also great for students to really be planning their financial aid and how they're going to cover their costs. All of our tuition fees are listed on the program pages for each degree on the website. Scroll down to program fees, and those fees are listed in Australian dollars and for international students. At the same time, if you want some more information on the financing options, definitely go to our Bond website and just do a search for Canada. Click on the first link, which will just be titled Canada. Scroll down to Financing Your Studies, and you'll actually see links to all of the provincial loan organisations, as well as all of the banks in Canada and their products for Canadian students in terms of financing and loans, etc. So we try and make it as easy as possible for you to find that information.
Well, thank you again. We'll be back shortly to cover the Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine, including a deep dive into physiotherapy, nutrition and dietetic practice, and occupational therapy. Remember to register your details to stay in touch with us and go into the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher. Welcome back to Study in Australia, live from Bond. In our final segment for the day, we're exploring the Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine, and we've got some great alumni joining us very shortly. But before we get started, let's give you an overview of the faculty. The Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine includes programs in biomedical science, health sciences, healthcare innovations, exercise and sports science, physiotherapy, nutrition and dietetic practice, and of course, occupational therapy. In addition to the faculties here on the main campus, Bond has a state-of-the-art Institute of Health and Sport, which is home base for our allied health degrees. One of our very own Canadian Bond students, Sarah Marco, took us for a tour of the Institute. Sarah, take it away.
On Australia's Gold Coast. My name is Sarah, and while I'm currently based here, you might be able to tell that I'm actually from Ontario, Canada. I came to Bond in January 2020, and I'm studying a Master of Nutrition and Dietetic Practice. Located just a few minutes from Bond's main campus, the Bond Institute of Health and Sport is an amazing and specialized precinct. Students from Bond's exercise and sports science, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and nutrition and dietetics programs use this world-class facility, which we call BIHS, or the Institute. Elite athletes train here, and students even have the opportunity to provide sports science testing and training services to them. The facility is also used by researchers, academics, and students. As a Canadian student, there are a few standout reasons why these facilities provide outstanding opportunities for us. Here at Bond, you are guaranteed an exceptional learning experience that exceeds Canadian requirements. I have found Bond to offer a highly personalized learning experience where I study in small class sizes taught by leading professors and industry experts. Let's take a look at some of the specific facilities and spaces provided to students at the Bond Institute of Health and Sport, and see for yourself. Within BIHS is the Bond High Performance Training Center, which has been awarded a 2020 to 2023 Strength of America Award for its world-class strength and conditioning standards. Ours was the only center in Australia to receive this prestigious accolade, which is jointly awarded by the U.S. National Strength and Conditioning Association and the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. The facility attracts international and national sporting teams, so we're learning alongside the world's best athletes, using the world's best equipment and resources. The Health and Sports Science Laboratories are used by students studying exercise and sports science, physiotherapy, and nutrition and dietetics. They have access to specialized technology and equipment where they learn to deliver a wide range of activities such as testing and performance analysis. Bond continually invests in equipment and resources to ensure we have access to the most up-to-date, advanced, and industry-standard equipment. The Institute not only includes a lap and rehab pool, but several contrast temperature recovery pools, sauna, and steam rooms. As a nutrition and dietetics student, I found that the skills we learn set us up for success when we go on placement. The master's program has 24 weeks of placement incorporated into the program. Bond's Nutrition and Dietetic Practice program is accredited with Dietitians Australia. As the requirement for registration in each province back home in Canada is slightly different, you'll need to consult with a provincial dietetic body if you wish to practice back home. In the clinical skills rooms, students studying allied health programs gain practical and authentic experience. Students are exposed to a variety of real-world situations in hospital-based and outpatient environments before they start work placements as part of their degree. In fact, the physiotherapy program has the most clinical hours of any degree in Australia. Bond's medical allied health students gain practical experience at the Clinical Education and Research Centre at Robina Hospital. The occupational therapy rooms are specially designed teaching spaces to enable students to acquire the hands-on skills needed for a successful career in occupational therapy, such as physical rehabilitation, assistive technology, and communication. These specially designed facilities include a simulated living space, ergonomics workspace, observation room, and splinting laboratory. If you're interested in studying Bond's Master of Occupational Therapy, then it's important to note that our program provides the minimum of 1,000 hours of fieldwork, which allows Canadian students to qualify to become an OT in Canada once they meet the competency-based exam requirements. The Doctor of Physiotherapy postgraduate program is an accelerated program which students can complete in just 2 years. The Institute has dedicated and specialized physiotherapy teaching spaces, as well as smaller clinical skill rooms to prepare you for all your clinical placement experience. Facilities include physiotherapy treatment benches, clinical simulation areas, and more. To practice physiotherapy in Canada, graduates of Bond's program will need to pass the Physiotherapy Competency Examination to be credentialized by the Canadian Alliance of Physiotherapy Regulators. Before we finish, I wanted to talk to you about what happens after your degree. Bond has a career development center with dedicated specialists to help you gain work experience and internships, including in Canada. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know the facilities at the Bond Institute of Health and Sport. If you have any questions about starting at Bond, please reach out to Stuart Floyd. He was such a huge help when I was deciding where to study, and you're in very good hands with his guidance on your side.
Well, it's a very impressive facility, and I can see why so many international sporting teams choose to train here when they're in Australia. As we've heard from Sarah, one of the programs based in the Institute of Health and Sport is occupational therapy, also known as OT. Occupational therapy is one of the fastest growing professions in Australia and the world. Joining us to tell us more about Bond's OT degree is Professor Susan Brandis, who is actually the head of the program. Welcome, Susan. How are you today?
Hi, Candice.
So could you give us a snapshot about OT? What is occupational therapy?
Sure. We're a little understood profession, but very broad, so we cover from birth to death. The goal of occupational therapy is to enable people to do things that they need to do and want to do to live a full, meaningful, independent life. A little thing we say is physios will teach you how to walk, and OT will show you how to do your shoelaces, do your makeup, and go to the dance. So
oh, wow. I didn't
very much
realise
about
that.
functional outcomes.
Very detail orientated by the sounds of it. So our program is actually very different to others. Can you talk to us about the extended level masters? How does that help graduates practice OT?
Certainly. So a key feature, point of differentiation is that we offer two advanced streams. One is a clinical research stream and the second is a business research stream. The business stream, the students are able to do subjects from our business school, from the MBA program or the Masters of Health Innovation program, and the goal of that is to prepare them for a career in private practice and setting up their own business, whereas the research stream is more clinically focused and leads towards more academic studies in terms of doing a PhD.
Now, I understand you need to be accredited as an OT to actually practice.
Absolutely.
What is the process then for gaining that accreditation once you've completed your Bond degree?
Certainly. So there's a number of steps in that. The Bond program is accredited and recognised by the World Federation of Occupational Therapists, so that's really important, which means that our qualification is recognised in Canada, and then there's a three-stage process with that. So we assist the students with the first stage, which is getting all of their documentation together and making sure that they've got evidence of their key competencies. They then apply, there's a written exam which we prepare our students for, and then an interview when they go back to Canada.
Okay, and what about the practical placements? Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, sure. So we have a minimum of 1,000 clinical hours in the program, so about a fifth of those hours are embedded in the subjects. The first clinical practice experience is in week 5, and then the students do 3 block placements. Now, the next question I usually get asked is, where's those placements? So I've come from Gold Coast University Hospital this morning, so I was rushing to make sure I was here on time. Most of our placements are in southeast Queensland, northern New South Wales. However, depending on where students come from, we have had students placements in Tasmania. For example, we've got some coming up in rural and remote in Darwin. So it really does depend, but we try and make sure that the students get experience across the full spectrum of care, which is paediatrics, mental health, adult rehabilitation, acute care and community.
It truly is life-changing what you do.
It is. It's
Keep
very
up the amazing
comprehensive,
work.
very comprehensive.
The fact that you've just come from the hospital just, explains it all. So thank you so much, Susan.
That's
We're
all right.
very
It's a
grateful
pleasure.
for you leaving the hospital. So we're going to be back in a moment. We're going to be talking about nutrition and dietetic practice. But first, we're going to get a glimpse into a day in the life of an OT student.
When I first started thinking about doing occupational therapy, I asked someone who was an occupational therapist, and they told me to think about it as in terms of something that occupies time, or anything that occupies time. And that held a little bit more context to me in that it was everything. there was nothing sort of off limits for what an occupational therapist can do in terms of therapy that they deliver. A typical day would be come in and set up the clinic for therapy, and you would have your standing client list, and this might involve things like sprinting, exercising, stretching, pain management. So I kind of learnt that you have to think on your feet a little bit when you're doing hand therapy. Each case is specific. Everyone's individual, and the things that are important to someone are totally different to the things that are important to another. There's a very individualised focus of occupational therapy, and we work with a person to meet those goals that are relevant to them.
A lot of universities produce a lot of good students, but Bond, as Nettie as an example, has been able to demonstrate well above average baseline knowledge of anatomy and biomechanics and kinesiology. I think Bond's instilled in him excellent communication skills, interviewing skills, compared to other universities and other students that we've had in our practice.
It's a little bit of an addictive feeling when you can go home and you feel like you've actually made a difference to someone. And I find that most of the people I work with are similar personality types in that they all get satisfaction from helping.
Now on to another equally important part of allied health, nutrition and dietetic practice. The Master of Nutrition and Dietetic Practice is an extended level master's degree, which means Bond graduates are more competitive in the job market. It also incorporates 24 weeks of professional placement internships and a 20-week research internship. Here with me in the studio is the co-head of the program, Dr. Diane Riedlinger. Hi Diane, how are you?
Thanks, Candace.
I actually love this subject matter, to be honest. I have a lot of questions. Can you tell me a little bit about the Master of Nutrition and Dietetic Practice?
Certainly. So the Master of Nutrition and Dietetic Practice is in its 7th year at Bond. We have quite a large number of practical placement subjects within it, but we also have a significant research component as well.
So this is quite similar to OT, the extended level master's part. Why is that important? Why would I study that as opposed to, say, a bachelor or a master's program elsewhere?
Yeah, great question. So what we see sort of these days is something that we call qualification creep, where everybody used to just get a bachelor's and go off and work. Then people started to get masters and go off, gain that competitive advantage to get a job. And what we now have is everybody now has a master's. So with our program, we do an extended level 9 master's. It's the equivalent to a 3-year master's completed in 2 years.
In 2 years, it's so incredible what you can get done. So how does the accreditation work to then practice in Canada?
Great question as well. So we are accredited fully with the Dietitians Association of Australia. We do not have accreditation in Canada at the moment. However, we are currently seeking accreditation with the US. We're in the final stages of that, and hopefully we'll have our candidacy soon. With the accreditation in Canada, it is undertaken by Dietitians Canada, so that every province is slightly different. So what I recommend is people get in touch with Dietitians Canada, simply go on the website, select the province that you want to practice in and follow the guidelines around that. Having said that, we do have a graduate who has already successfully gained recognition in Canada, Rachel, and she was in British Columbia, and she has managed to go through that process and navigate that. So we are now able to provide support to people from Canada to go through that process.
Fantastic. We definitely need more people that understand nutrition and dietetics.
We do.
I think it's a very interesting space to learn in. We wanted to get one of the students actually on the broadcast today, but they're all in placement.
They are.
Does that mean that the clinical placements actually make up a large component of the program?
That's right. So we actually have 1,500 hours of placements. Around 600 hours of that is research internship. That's a point of difference for our program. We have a 2-week international internship, which is also unique within Australia and around the world. Not many places incorporate that for every student.
Yes.
We have a 2-week elective placement, and then students also complete those sort of more traditional areas of practice, so food service management, clinical nutrition, as well as community and public health nutrition.
Any taste testing involved?
Always.
Sign me up for
Dietitians
that.
love chocolate. So.
Oh, I'm there. Well, thank you so much, Diane. Now, if you'd like to connect directly with Diane or Stuart, visit bond.edu.au/study in Australia to get in touch and arrange a personal consultation. We're going now to speak to an alumna who is working in British Columbia in a moment. But first, some Canadian students choose to stay on and work in Australia after graduation. So let's explore the employment landscape here on the Gold Coast.
At Bond, it's no longer about just ticking a set of boxes and saying you're employable. It's all about the individual experience. So we like to work with students on an individual basis, developing skills that are specific to their industry, and that could be through anything that they might undertake while they're studying here at Bond.
It's never been a more exciting time to be on the Gold Coast, either as a resident or as a student or someone coming to work on the Gold Coast. We know that if you have a good idea in this city, the city will get behind you. And that's an amazing opportunity for anyone looking to come and study on the Gold Coast. The opportunity to employ Bond graduates has been fantastic. One of the distinguishing features we see is their preparedness to understand how to do business.
The value that Bond University students bring to this organisation is their willingness to learn and their willingness to be here and really appreciate the opportunity. The testament to the quality of candidates is the fact that we employed one of them full-time after the internship in Rachel Tilley, who's proven to be an amazing new staff member to the World Surf League.
Everything just started lining up when I was at Bond. I was doing my degree and then Bond and WSL partnered, and it was like all my worlds were coming into one place and I was there to experience it. I felt really supported by all my academic lectures and they helped me get to where I am today, and now for that to have turned into a full-time job is just a dream come true.
Building, and the CLSA is hosting a welcome back breakfast, which consists of pancakes and bacon. So we're bringing a little bit of Canadian flavor down under.
It's so wonderful to hear that the Gold Coast is in a great position of growth and opportunity. But now we're switching hemispheres to speak to a Master of Nutrition and Dietetic Practice alumna. Rachel Lan is a clinical dietitian at Fraser Health Authority in Vancouver, British Columbia. She completed her master's degree at Bond in 2020 and has since returned to Canada to continue her career. I can't wait to hear about this. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
I'm very excited about what you study. So can you start by telling us a little bit about your journey to studying at Bond? What made you decide that Bond was just right for you?
So then, master's program in dietetics. So we just have a...
So I think there's a little bit of a lag happening there, Rachel. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. I'm going to let you go for it. Why did you think Bond was for you? I'll let you know if it interrupts again and you can start again. Go for it. Okay, we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty. We are quite far away. So, Rachel, we'll definitely check back in with you because I personally need to know all about your experience. I actually heard about you earlier, so I'd love to hear more. But next up, we're going to talk about, I think it's all things physiotherapy we're going to jump to. Let's have a look and see.
Surfing is always on my mind. Most nights, I dream about it too. I grew up surfing on the coast of San Clemente, California, but home for me is right here, in the ocean. Surfing has taken me all over the world. I've experienced different cultures, climates, and continents, but the language of surfing is the same wherever you go. We do it because we love it, because it's who we are. I first visited the Gold Coast for a WSL event, but now I live and study here at Bond University. What you see on TV or from the shore is just part of the story. I've seen the work that goes into organizing athletes and making competitions happen. It inspired me to go into sports management. I didn't think it would be possible to chase my dreams on tour and start my professional career, but Bond has made it happen. I've learned that, like surfing, it's all about balance. I'm studying on the plane and listening to lectures between heats. My teachers support me, and Bond's partnerships have led to some amazing opportunities. Most afternoons, you'll find me at WSL, where I have an internship. I'm grateful that at Bond, I can pursue my ambitions in and out of the water.
We could tell you a lot of things about a Bond MBA.
We could tell you how it's customised to match your career aspirations.
How you'll develop the skills you need to secure your future.
And have a dedicated mentor to help you get there.
We could tell you how flexible a Bond MBA is.
With elective subjects available across all of our faculties and specialties.
We could tell you how you can complete it in 1 year full-time.
Alongside a truly global cohort of students who will become your network.
We could tell you about the rich global experiences you'll gain from studying alongside peers from more than 20 countries.
And learn from world-class industry leaders who are truly the best in the business.
We could tell you a lot of things about the Bond MBA.
But we'd prefer to show you.
Connect with us today.
The best way to learn about big data, accounting and finance is to jump right into it. That's why we're so proud of the Bond FinTech Hub. The FinTech Hub features the most Bloomberg terminals of any university in Australia. Bloomberg terminals are a world standard for professionals in the financial marketplace, so our students are using the same software and the same data that they would use when they entered the industry. Students gain practical experience in executing deals, managing portfolios, trading financial securities in changing market conditions. Students undertake market research for various asset classes using macroeconomic data to better understand the financial marketplace and form sound recommendations. We have a dedicated staff member located in the Bond FinTech Hub who offers assistance for training workshops for students, staff members and alumni. The purpose of the Bond FinTech Hub is to give students practical industry quality experience in actuarial science, accounting and finance. It's one of the reasons why our Bond business graduates stand out in Australia and overseas.
Rachel, we were so excited to chat to you. I guess in this day and age, we just have to expect that there are little connection issues. So I'll have to talk to you personally and we can update everyone at a later date. Thank you so much anyway. We're going to change pace now to physiotherapy. Bond's extended master's program, the Doctor of Physiotherapy, has the highest number of clinical hours of any program in Australia. It means that Bond graduates complete their degrees with more than 1,400 hours of hands-on experience, meeting and exceeding Canadian practice requirements. To tell us about it is Associate Professor of Physiotherapy Program here at Bond, Dr. Rob Orr. Hey Rob, how are you today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
So you've actually spent time in Canada, haven't you?
I have. We just got back just before the pandemic hit. Myself and a group of researchers from our physiotherapy department, including some of our graduating physiotherapy students, presented at the International Congress of Soldier Physical Performance in Quebec City.
There you go. Well, I'm glad. I think it will be my first place I go once the borders open.
I definitely think so. And you've got to try poutine. Apparently it's absolutely amazing. I couldn't stop eating it.
There's so many things I need to explore over there. So can you talk to us now, back on track, Candice, the Doctor of Physiotherapy.
Sure.
Can you give us a snapshot?
So it's a very integrated program. Yes, the pandemic has meant we've had to manipulate it a little bit, but it's a very applied program where we do a lot of theory, a lot of practical. So in the traditional model, basically as soon as you turn up, the second day you're out there in the labs putting your hands on each other with informed consent and going through techniques. So we have a lot of applied theory and practice, and then we have research and a very strong clinical placement program.
I just love the fact you get to become a doctor. Doctor something. Dr. Kent. I would love that. I'm trying to work out what I should study next.
Well, physiotherapy is here, you know.
That's part of, I studied a Bachelor of Communication, but now I realise that was so quick, I need to do more studying. So this is obviously a really popular program for Canadian students. How many are currently studying this right now?
Right, so of our graduating cohort that's about to graduate, 10 of students are from Canada. Our 2020 cohort, we have 12, and our incoming 2021 cohort, we have 17. And you've got to remember, that's 17 out of 65-ish.
That's phenomenal.
It is.
I love that you know those facts off the top of your head as well. You've done your homework.
I've done my homework.
Excellent. So you've mentioned that some are actually studying remotely, which I find really fascinating. How does that work with then the practical element, though?
That's a really good question, because traditionally we are very applied. What we're doing now is we're front-ending it with all the theory and then back-ending it with a lot of the practice. So we do all the theory from starting off with myself, actually. The first subject is foundations of physiotherapy, musculoskeletal physiotherapy, neurological physiotherapy, cardiorespiratory physiotherapy, all the theory. Then we will run through all the prac back to back. And it has pros and cons each way, but then we've also added a specific practical component, a new practical-based subject at the very end called Translations to Practice, where we'll just make sure we fine-tune those skills before they go out in any practical placement.
So now the most important question, what are the entry requirements?
The entry requirements. Okay, so GPA typically of 2.0, but it is a very competitive program, so normally about 2.5 or above is required. Likewise, there are some prerequisites. There's at least 2 semesters of anatomy, 2 of physiology, 1 of exercise physiology, 1 of biomechanics, 1 of statistics, and then 1 of exercise science. So those are the entry requirements, and then from that we normally shortlist to about 200, and we'll run interviews with those 200, normally in about September, and then we'll let them know within about 2 weeks whether or not they've got a place.
Just so fantastic. So how exactly would you apply if you're interested right now?
So if you're interested right now, making sure that you've got all the prereqs is always a must, or making sure you'll have the prereqs ready by the time the actual program starts, and then going onto the Bond website, the physiotherapy website, and going through the process online.
What about the process to gain accreditation in Canada?
That's a really good question, and that's one of the key questions that a lot of our Canadian students ask. So what will happen is we actually have somebody specifically on staff that works on international registration and engagement, and she's also our head of our clinical stream, Assistant Professor Rebecca Terry, and that's one of her primary roles, is making sure that we meet the requirements of the accreditation for Canada, and therefore when the students go back, if they ever go back, half of them stay here, as I'm sure you'll find out in a minute when you interview one of our alumni. They go over and they put in their paperwork against their accreditation requirements, and as long as that paperwork meets some of the other paperwork that they have to fill in, which is more country-specific, they'll sit their examination, which is a requirement of all physiotherapy students in Canada itself.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rob Orr. I've learnt so much. We'll be back in a moment speaking to one of our alumni. Before then, let's take a look inside a physiotherapy placement.
Doctor of Physiotherapy program here at Bond University. It's a 2-year postgraduate program. We're an accelerated program where we condense 6 semesters into 2 years. Some of the unique characteristics that we have here at Bond, firstly and foremost, is the strong relationships that our academic staff that we get to actually develop with our students, and I think that's primarily due to the smaller cohort numbers that we take in every year, our open door policy, and the passion and the interest that all of our academics here have for teaching. We have the highest number of placement hours in Australia, where our students experience 1,400 hours of clinical placement, which makes them extremely ready for the workforce when they graduate.
So I've had 6 clinical placements while at Bond University, and they've been very diverse. So I've been to Vietnam, I've been to Harvey Bay, I went rural out in Roma, and so it's all been a great variety of caseloads, got to see different kinds of patients, so it was a really good experience, able to travel around Australia while at Bond University.
50% of the whole degree is on placement, so I think that's where you really learn and you get to implement your skills and become work ready. Of the amount of clinical placements that we do, I feel more than ready to go out and be a physiotherapist now because of that extra industry experience that we get. I'm just really looking forward to that opportunity to really implement my skills because I feel like I'm ready to be that. I don't feel unprepared at all, and I think that studying at Bond has enabled me to do that.
Joining me in the studio now to talk about the Doctor of Physiotherapy is one of Bond's very own alumni. Kyle Mitchell travelled to Australia to study the Doctor of Physiotherapy back in 2012. He loved it so much that he now calls the Gold Coast home. Hi Kyle, do you still love the Gold Coast?
Still love it.
Okay, great. So can we talk about your journey of coming to choose Bond as your university?
Okay. I graduated in 2010 from UBC in Vancouver. One of my friends actually did the law program here, and he said, I think they have physio, so I looked into it. There's a company called Austrek that really helped me get my way to here, so it was an easy application, and it was quite harmless for me to get the application through. It was awesome, yeah.
It's great that you're still here. What were some of the highlights? You obviously had a great time.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think just coming from Canada, the weather, just especially in Vancouver, can be a bit wet and rainy, and coming out here with the beaches and the sun, it was quite an eye-opener. Just the cultural lifestyle here is amazing and relaxed and laid back and very similar to Canada, where the people are. So yeah, it was quite a nice experience.
I hear that a lot, that there's a lot of similarities with Canadians and Australians.
Yeah, very much so. I think I settled in really well, and everyone was really friendly, and the lifestyle is very similar in how people approach life here. So it was very similar to home, so I felt quite comfortable coming here, yeah.
Obviously, we want to keep it positive and upbeat, but were there any challenges that people maybe need to be aware of?
I think the biggest challenge that everyone will go through is just trying to stay in touch with friends and family back home. The time change can be a little bit difficult, but if you make an effort, it's really not that hard to do that. So yeah.
I think even if you're in the next room, you're still on FaceTime or you're texting. Sure. I know I text my siblings. It's like hilarious. So
yeah, it's awesome. And sometimes
times have changed now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's even easier now than back in 2012. Like we've come so far. Yeah. So what did you do after you graduated?
So I did an internship as part of my last placement at Bond, and out of that internship I actually got my job out of that, and so I got my work visa, started working there, put in a lot of time, and just gradually built that clinic up, and been working there full-time ever since, actually. Yeah.
You obviously said it's a relaxed lifestyle, but what was it really about the Gold Coast that made you stay and actually want to build a career and get focused here? Why here?
Well, my now wife was one of the reasons, but at the same time, I think the lifestyle here is very healthy, and people are very fixed on staying healthy and staying active. So it's a really good environment to be a physiotherapist in. Yeah.
So that would help you. They've done half the work.
Yeah, coming in for the most part. Yeah, definitely.
That actually probably makes it better as well in terms of rehabilitation. They'll probably listen and...
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more opportunity to get outside and do exercise here on the Gold Coast where it's sunny most of the time. And I think people love that and want to stay involved with that. So rehab is quite easy for them. Yeah.
Definitely. What about the process for you being able to stay and work in Australia? Can you give us an idea of how that was for you?
Yeah, as Rob mentioned before, Rebecca Terry was quite helpful in just giving us information on the visas you need, and you can do that all as you kind of go towards your graduation. So getting my work visa was quite okay, and a couple of years later, permanent residency, and then moved on to citizenship this year, actually. So, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
How
yeah.
fantastic. A lot's happened since 2012.
Yeah, very much, yeah.
Do you have any advice for students who are watching at home that might be considering applying for a Bond's Doctor of Physiotherapy? And you get the title Doctor, right? That's surely enough.
Kind of, yeah, yes. Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing is if you're passionate about helping people and passionate about rehabilitation, exercise as medicine, I think the physio program, because you spend so much time in hospital and clinical placement, you get so much hands-on that you come out of it feeling really confident that you can enter the workforce prepared. So I think it's a fantastic experience. I enjoyed every minute, and I continue to enjoy my time, yeah.
I think it's sort of something that you can then apply to the real world, and I love that. Those skills are forever, which is fantastic.
I think so, and you get a really good work-life balance. You can choose how hard or how well you want to work, so I come home happy every day, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated diving into your mind for the day. Now, the Doctor of Physiotherapy is a postgraduate degree, but Bond also offers a number of undergraduate level programs in health sciences and medicine. One of those programs is the Bachelor of Exercise and Sports Science, which also involves extensive work placement as part of the program. In a moment, we're going to be speaking to another one of Bond's alumni, but first, let's take a look inside a work placement.
The Bachelor of Exercise and Sports Science has a range of workplace opportunities for students. As part of the program, we have a number of industry partners that we work with. We've developed relationships across the industry, and that obviously is in both within the sports sector and also in the exercise and fitness sector as well.
With the last two students that we've had, both Zach and Jordan, we've had them out on the water, everything from coaching, holding onto a stopwatch, videoing, to in the gym, helping out with the weights, setting programs within there. In the last few weeks, we've been giving them a stopwatch, and basically I'm sitting back and going, hey boys, go for it. You're the coach here today.
So what we've got both Zach and Jordan to do while they're here is just experience kind of what it's like to live in the day in the life of what we do here. We try and make that prac component as close to what we do every day. So they're programming, they're talking with athletes, they're cueing them on exercises and everything that goes along with that. So it's a whole product, really. I guess the professionalism that we see from the Bond students that come over has been always top-notch.
So moving forward, this experience has taught me a lot of things from coaching, but also tying in a lot of that theoretical knowledge with our practical experience and our practical skills. That'll definitely help, but the massive thing was definitely networking. And networking while we were here with the coaches and the support staff that all these athletes have, and having those support staff and having a network with them is just going to help us moving forward in our careers when it comes to finding employment.
Working with these young athletes and in previous experiences as well with Bond, there's been a whole range of different athletes I can work with, and I feel I can take that into any workplace as well.
Paddle Australia is a national sporting organisation that encompasses everything. We have our national events through to World Cups, World Championships, and then on to the Olympic Games. So I give the advice to students that want to get into the exercise industry to make sure that they enjoy it, to have fun, because sport's a passion. It's not a job, it's a passion. And for the athletes to get better, they need passionate coaches and passionate staff around them. We're here ultimately to win World Championship medals, Olympic medals, but we also want the kids to have a full journey of what sport can bring, because sport can offer so much outside of sport as well.
Bond alumni are working in more than 120 countries around the world, including Canada and the United States of America. Now let's speak to one of them, Jesse Green. After he finished his sports science degree at Bond, Jesse took the opportunity to move to the United States, first working at the University of Louisville and then joining the Sacramento Kings NBA basketball team in California, where he now works as the head of sports science. Jesse is joining us now all the way from California. Hello, Jesse. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. Very exciting career you've got. But let's go back for a second to your studies at Bond. What do you remember from your time as a student?
Oh, wow. I mean, student life was great upon reflection. I mean, I wish I could go back and spend another couple of years. But, you know, I remember forging a ton of friendships. I mean, those friendships I still hold on to today. But also the X's and O's and the things you learn on a daily basis as well. Although it didn't seem so at the time, is certainly something that I've implemented on a daily basis. So certainly remember that, as well as making lifelong friends for sure.
So you've sort of touched on it, but just to reiterate, how did your time at Bond really propel you for this stage of your career?
Yeah, look, I think it's a couple things. First thing is certainly the accelerated program almost puts you a year ahead of your peers or of other people essentially going into other university environments. But second to that, I think, is not only the small cohort size, but the faculty and the lecturers are certainly well connected and the programs themselves are well connected. So not only are you afforded more attention by the faculty members and the staff, but you're also connected as soon as you walk into the door. So I feel like they really set you up for success and really propels you down the road.
Yeah, you can fit a lot of life in straight after Bond, that's for sure. How did you end up in the USA?
Yeah, so I was working for the Brisbane Lions originally, straight out of uni, doing my honours year, and 3 years or so there, and really figured out that coming over to the States and working in the US was something I really wanted to do. And given the sporting environment over here, I thought there was a lot of opportunity as well. So applied for about 40 different jobs and managed to get the 41st at the University of Louisville. I was there for about a year, and then I was fortunate to land this job here in Sacramento.
And of course, the California lifestyle is very similar to here on the Gold Coast. How did you find applying for roles in the US with an Australian Bond degree?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it certainly had its challenges, but at the same time, going back to my previous point of how well connected the university is in and of itself. I mean, you don't have to walk too far or go too far to find a faculty member or even another student or an alumni that is working overseas, and especially in high performance sport. It's a pretty tight knit community. So if you, I guess, between a couple degrees, you can find someone else working in sport. So it wasn't too much of a barrier. It was actually quite helpful in that sense.
And your role at the Sacramento Kings sounds so interesting. It's got to be one of our best success stories. What does a typical day at work look like for you as the head of sports science?
Yeah, sure. So I guess going with the game day would be the easiest, given we have so many. But you know, usually starts around the facility at about 8 to 9 a.m. where we get some treatments in, and some of the guys who don't play as much, they will get a session in, and we'll get a lift in with those guys as well. And then we'll collect some measures on those guys from a readiness and a performance standpoint to see where they're at in relation to where they've been. And then sort of during the middle of the day gives us a chance to sit down, review that data and create plans and audit our programs to determine are guys trending in the appropriate direction? Do some guys need more work, less work? Some modifications need to take place or not? And then at about 4 o'clock, we'll have our first pre-game meeting, and then from there it's collecting some more measurements, some more baseline testing. And then from there we have tip-off at about 7 p.m. And then luckily I'm able to sit down and watch the game when that tip-off occurs. All our data is collected automatically. So I'm able to watch the game, which goes 7 to 9:30, 10 o'clock, and watch these guys do what they do best, and that's play amazing basketball. And then following that, we sit down, review the data again, and get home at about midnight and do it all again.
Sounds so much fun, though. I don't think you can complain of those big days, because that just sounds like a dream. I have to watch basketball at, on a global level every single day. It's been so wonderful chatting to you, Jesse. Keep up the amazing work. All the best for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. We'll be back in a moment. I can't believe it, but we've reached the end of our broadcast. Stuart, that is a wrap. So we've covered so much in the broadcast. Stuart, what do you think are the key takeaways for those watching? Over to you.
Well, as you said, we've seen so much information tonight. I really do hope that our viewers have got a great sense of who Bond University really is. Obviously, you can see we have a broad range of programs, and we have a real focus on helping Canadian students become educated and prepared for returning to Canada to work in their profession, to stay in Australia potentially, as we saw with Kyle, or to look at somewhere else in the world that they might wish to travel. The global perspective is something that Bond can really give them and prepare them for. So I think that's been awesome to see today.
I found today just super inspiring. That's my opinion. I'm just like, I need to read a book after this. I'm sure there have been so many students and potential students wanting more information on studying in Australia and, of course, at Bond University now. How can we all get in touch with you, Stuart?
Sure. So again, as we said all throughout the presentation, head to our Bond website, bond.edu.au/study in Australia. Make sure you send an inquiry and I will be in touch with you from there and look forward to working with you on your admissions journey towards Bond University.
And of course, it's been so much fun being a virtual event, but I can't wait to meet you in person and come onto campus. Thank you everyone for joining us today for Study in Australia, live from Bond. If you missed any part of the broadcast, you can catch up on demand on our website. Don't forget to enter the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher by entering your details. Stay safe, everyone, and we hope to see you here in Australia and at Bond University very soon. See you soon.